folks, good morning to those of you that can hear us. I cannot hear anything from Alan either, so well, at least Andrew could work out where he was, and I take it he's at Penryn. Is that correct? Who should I talk to? Trevor, is that correct? He's at Penryn, over?
Yeah, the position that I gave you yesterday was where he was going, so he said he's going to be there for a few days.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gold Harbour Radio, Patricia and David, and well, it started off 30% cloud cover, and now it's clouded over to about 80%. Another cool start for our day here, 12 degrees. The big high, 1023.4 and rising, 3 knots of southwest wind here. An awful lot more being reported from you folk around the place. Those big highs when you're on the outskirts of them. People are wondering why there is so much wind around. That's the reason. Lots of wind on the outside of a high because it's got further to go to get around. Just talking about that wind, Marilyn, they're heading to Fiji. They have got 18 east-southeast. I'm sure they're not complaining about the direction. 1933 south and 179, almost on the date line there. So plenty of wind for them, ripping along at 8 knots. Sarani have even got a good wind in Numia there, east 15 to 20. Messatroy 15 to 20 down there in Falanga. Keep the mosquitoes away, I suppose. Bonaire, they're on their way south, as are quite a few of you, and they have got a very moderate east 8 to 10. That's at 2231 south and 17758 west. So a little bit more pleasant for them. So yeah, it's interesting weather, lots of weather to talk about today. So I will not dilly-dally too much. Where we get your reports, we have 2 sources of reports from you, and they of course are useful for David to look at things. One of them is your emails coming in. Thank you very much for those. They actually came in at good time this morning. It depends on the systems, I suppose, but he looks at those email reports to know where to go. A little bit late for now. Well, we sort of know where many of you are, but if you are a new one, then make sure we know which direction you're going. And that brings me to the YIT reports. If you are reporting on YIT and we don't know about you, if you don't put in your course and speed, then we have no idea which direction you're trying to go. So unless it's sort of the main, and we've got other people going in a particular area where David, of course, is going to comment on passage weather, then you probably won't get any information because we just don't know. If a report comes in, the position is fine, but we don't know whether you're going with the wind, against the wind, east or west or whatever. So make sure you use that heading and speed square brackets so that we know. That's if you want any weather to look at what's coming. So having said that, I'm just going to do a pause to see if there's anybody with anything. We've got a few people on passage, quite a group of you actually. Anybody with anything? Yeah, good morning, Gordon. Go ahead.
Good morning, Patricia. This morning I'm at 25 south, 1724 east, 2824 trail at about 5 knots, to the southeasterly at 10 to 12, and a southwesterly swell over.
Yeah, it was good to see that southwesterly swell was at least 1 metre less than what the model said before you went. Just for the others' interest, when Gordon was preparing to go, the swell for the first 5 days or so looked to be southwest 3, and he's getting southwest 2. Good that it erred on that side rather than the other side. So, well, you're making good progress, even if the boat might be getting a bit wet. Over.
Yeah, the problem is we just but we're doing all.
Oh, that's good. Alrighty. When Chameleon leaves in situations like that, we actually tape all of the forward hatches. We got so sick of having the odd leak. You certainly know when you're bashing into stuff where any possible leaks are. And we ended up taping. I suppose it's not the best thing to do from a safety point of view, but it sure is a good thing to do when you want a dry birth. So that's what we used to do. All right, I'll pick up anybody else. We've got a couple of others out there, and we might even be able to hear Elvay today heading in the opposite direction. So when David's finished or after I've given the news, we will see if there's anybody else with a report. Lucy should be out there somewhere as well. Okay, the news of the day at the moment. China and the US are, as you know, pretty sensitive at the moment because of the trade war. And in addition, the US has had a couple of bomber flights into the South and East China Seas. In my opinion, it's about claiming time where they've been building up all of these islands. They've been doing an amazing job, but no one's tackled them about it. So anyway, that's what they're up to. And also Mr. Trump, when he spoke at the UN yesterday, accused China of interfering with the November US elections, the midterm elections. He didn't mention Russia, which made Russia pretty happy about the last election. But so there's still quite a lot of conflict going on between the US and China, and that's not going to drop down anytime soon. Secretary of State, seeing as we're over that part of the world, Mike Pompeo is off to North Korea again to arrange another meeting between Kim Jong-un and Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump decided after that he cancelled the last one because he didn't think they were making enough progress on the denuclearization. I don't know if that's a word, but anyway, that's what. Hang on a minute, I'm just going to turn the heater off. Would you mind turning the heater off? David and I do have a bit of conflict when it comes to what temperature is the decent working temperature. Google, talking about China, we've got on to China today. They have a project called Project Dragonfly, which is a search engine that would allow China to block the websites that they want censored. So they have been called to a Senate hearing to explain themselves there. Quite a few people that work for Google are not very happy about that. Back to the United States, the Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, and his accuser are, as we speak, in fact, going alternately before the Senate Judiciary Committee meeting to try and remember what happened in 1982. I have no idea what I was doing. You know what you were doing in 1982? No, I wouldn't have a clue. So, but I guess we weren't doing things as exciting as what appears to be the case in American schools. The earliest cyclone in 70 years in the South Pacific has formed, and I assume that David is going to talk about that very shortly. I have no idea how to pronounce it. L-I-U-A, Lua, something like that. Don't panic, it's headed for the Coral Sea, but really, really interesting situation there. A bit more news from the UK. The poisoning that they had, and they actually identified the two of the Russians. Well, one of them, it turns out, they're both under false names, but one of them turns out to be a very highly decorated Russian colonel. The word colonel always puzzles me. How you get colonel from C-O-L-O, I have no idea. I must look that up one day. But anyway, it's not?
C-O-L.
C-O-L-O. Yeah. How do you get colonel out of it?
It isn't. It's C-O-L.
C-O-L.
As an abbreviation.
As an abbreviation, but the word is C-O-L-O-N-E-L. And how can you get colonel? I would put it K-E-R-N-E-L, like what you have in the past. All right, on to more serious things. The US Feds have raised the US interest rate again, and they have indicated that there will be another one coming in 2009, 2.25% now. And New Zealand, as you will recall, has decided to hold for at least until 2020, ours at 1.75. So the US raising the rates causes quite a bit of movement of all sorts of things in the financial world. We won't bother going into that, but anyway, I thought you would be interested to know about that. In New York, Prime Minister Ardern, that's our Kiwi Prime Minister, has been on the US talk shows and actually doing quite well there. Lots of fluff. She's got a very good way of talking in those sorts of situations. Quite funny and comes over rather well. So she and Stephen Colbert got on quite well. It was a good advertisement for New Zealand in that respect. Not so good, I didn't think, at the United Nations with the baby and her partner who didn't even have a tie on. Okay, what else? There's a huge super yacht coming into Auckland this morning. It's the Aquio. It's owned by a European billionaire. It's one of the largest ketches in the world. It's 86 metres long. It's got a 91 metre mast, so it can't go under the bridge. 5,000 square metres of sail. Amazing, isn't it? It's got 17 crew, and the maximum number of passengers would be 14 if they've got guests on board. It's got all sorts of the usual stuff that you would expect in a super yacht: whirlpool, spa, gym, sauna, all sorts of exotic accommodations. And it's got a hammam. Can anyone tell me what a hammam is?
Yeah.
Hammam. What on earth is a hammam? Anyway,
they misspelled it.
that's one of the features. I didn't think it would be a hammock, but
I think it's a Hammond.
a Hammond piano, do you think? Well, it doesn't have a D on it. Anyway, it's got one of those, whatever they are. I suppose if you're in that sort of income bracket, you would know what it is. All right, so that's the news of the day for you folks. As you enjoy the same places that the Super Ketch will enjoy after it's finished its tarting up and stuff in New Zealand. Okay, let's see if we can find Lucy. I just want to see where they are. Lucy, Gulf Harbour. Nothing from Lucy, so we'll just have a look from Four Seasons. They are saying Thalanga has got east-southeast 14. Good morning to you guys. Quite a little group of you down there enjoying life. So I think Four Seasons have got a pilot on board too, so I'm sure that they've got together with Mr. Troy. Okay, nothing much more from here. Is there anybody with anything before I pass the microphone? No, nothing heard, and there's an awful lot to cover today. I'll just see what's on the streaming before I pass it over. Light cloud and Bunda, still no rain over there. Thank you for that. Oh dear, that side of Fiji doesn't really get much, but I'll tell you what, I don't know how David's going to do a forecast today. If you saw the satellite picture and the various things that he's been looking at, it's an absolute mess in the Pacific. So I tell you what, you're going to have to listen very carefully. Hopefully conditions on the radio are better than they were yesterday. We had quite a few reports actually that the signal wasn't coming through very well. Please let me know if 8752 is not working for you, because we can go to 8297 at the other end of this band, and that's really easy to do, and people know how to get 8297 because it's one of the major frequencies on 8 meg. So all you have to do is ask. Don't sit there and be annoyed. All right, I'll just pause to see if what's going on.
No.
Okay, so here we go. Go ahead, Graham. Oh, that is a bit sporty, isn't it? So I guess you won't be bothering to go out. Thank you for that, and thank you for the weather report. And I'm sure if people like Alvay and Lucy were there, they would pipe up. And don't forget, folks, if you want to tell us where you are, all you have to do is pick up the microphone and push the button. We get emails saying, oh, I don't know how to communicate. Well, that's the easiest way of doing it. You can send an email to ghradio@xtra.co.nz, or just pick up the microphone. We don't need the detailed position, something like 25 and 178 east would be just sufficient for us to know where you are and for David to have a look at things and make sure that he's covered where you are. So don't be shy about it. It's real easy to do. All right, here's David with the forecast.
Okay, good morning. Quite a bit to talk about, really. Yesterday afternoon, by the way, at exactly 16:02 hours, I had a superb ASCAT satellite pass came over to look at the tropical cyclone, Liua. At least that's how we're pronouncing it. At that time, the center was 10 south, 10 degrees, 34 to be precise, and 162 east. The wind, of course, cyclonic at 45 knots. So, yes, we officially have a name. It's a very, very early seasonal tropical cyclone. Central pressure, roughly 995 millibar. And it's extending a trough over Vanuatu, and it goes on to Fiji, actually just to the south of Fiji. The midnight location was 12 south and 162 degrees 18 minutes. Moving south to southwest at about 5 knots. Now we'll talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes. Now, moving onward, our 500 millibar ridge over the Tasman is supporting the anticyclone, which has taken over the cruising route, the entire Southwest Pacific. This is what we've been talking about for a few days now, and it's the reason for your strong winds up in the islands. The central pressure is anywhere from 1027, 1028 millibar, located roughly 33 south and 170 east, 170 east. Now, by lunch on Saturday, the center looks to lie over the top of the North Island here with a 1030 millibar projected. So it's gaining a little bit of strength. By lunch on Sunday, the high center is going to be virtually in the same spot. Still a mountain of air, still about 1030 millibar. This is a very large high. It encompasses all of New Caledonia, Vanuatu, Fiji, and Tonga by then. And of course, anticyclonic wind flow is going to be present for all of the island groups throughout, well, I won't say the rest of the week. This is the end of the week, all through the weekend. And providing that there are no upper level changes from those forecasts as of this morning, lunchtime on Monday has the high center just to the east of the North Island, located near 33 south and 175 west. That's the center. The pressure is still about 1030 millibar, so it's staying pretty potent. The following cold front will have arrived over the top of the North Island, extending to just about Harvey Bay in Australia. So again, this is lunchtime on Monday. Now, the en route yachts approaching Opua or Marsden can expect northwest winds at that point. The front may clear the North Island by midnight or so with a southwest wind shift. Now, other models don't show such a radical shift. In fact, they imply just a forward dip in the isobars. So the wind shifts could possibly be more or less like the following: northeast, then going north, then a veer, a very quick veer to the east and east-southeast as the very next high pushes itself eastward. So could be one or the other. We'll have to monitor the Monday-Tuesday time frame to see exactly what happens. So while we've got some unknowns for the Opua area, then there really is nothing to fret about from what I can see. And backing up a little bit for the passage yacht, Saturday and Sunday is going to provide southeast winds for anybody between 25 and 30 south. And as you sail south of 30, the wind backs. So expect easterlies, giving way to the northeasterlies. And most of you, like I said, should arrive Monday, Tuesday time frame. We did hear one boat possibly Wednesday, but shouldn't be too bad at that point. But we'll talk about that on Monday. So in the tropics now, other troughs are quite evident. There is one just to the north of Fiji and Rotuma. and it goes on to Tuvalu. Now that particular one is pushing south into the Fiji area. So if there's anything going to bring rain, hopefully to PSLs, it might be that one. There is another trough over Wallace that goes on to Tokelau and goes on then to the northern Cooks. Looking at Tonga, we've got the weak trough remaining over Nui Tupatapu, while we've got the other trough that still lies just to the south of Tongatapu. The cloud does get up into the island group. Vavau this morning reports southeast 5, scattered barometer 1015. The Hapai southeast 7, scattered cloud to broken actually, barometer 1015 as well. Tongatapu east at 5, scattered to broken, barometer 1017. So the wind forecast by noon expects southeast winds in the 15 knot range, but Saturday is picking up. Looking at 20 knots out of the southeast early, might be easing possibly to about 15 a little bit later, but then picking up again late into early Sunday, 20 to 25. Then a solid 25 knots. So watch out for that, and watch out Monday, 25 to 30 knots out of the southeast. So a lot of wind. Again, thank you for the wind, Mr. Anticyclone. For Fiji, the trough continues very slow moving over the southern bits of the group, but the trough to the north, as I said, is approaching as we speak. So the forecast is for cloud and rain, and in fact, Fiji Met has a heavy rain warning in force for all of the big islands, Viti Levu, Kundavu, Vanua Levu, Taveuni, and actually quite a few of the smaller islands as well. They don't mention the Yasawas, but I have to think the Yasawas will finally get some rain out of this. In addition, there is a strong wind warning issued for the south in particular, Viti Levu, Kundavu, and the Lau and the Loma Viti group. This wind warning has been expanded to cover all Fiji waters. So they are reporting to expect southeast 20 to 25. Tomorrow, southeast 20 to 30. Rough to very rough seas, poor visibility, and there will be certainly heavy showers off and on, and that will create poor viz. Sunday, expect southeast 25 knots and possibly 30 knots around southwest Viti Levu. And of course, there are some wind shadowed areas that you can tuck into and not get hardly any wind at all. And most of you know where those are, usually the west side of these bigger islands. Okay, Vanuatu sits under the trough extension from Tropical Cyclone Luia. Rain and showers are expected over the entire group. Heavy falls in particular over the northern islands. Strong winds, southeast 25 to 30, with very rough seas, 3 to 3.5 meters out there. Don't want to be out there, folks. That's really nasty in Vanuatu. And of course, that's over the open water. And there will be poor visibility in the showers, as you would expect. And there will be rain and thunderstorms involved in this as well. Not a good day for Vanuatu. Strong winds tomorrow as well. Southeast 25 to 30. Areas of 35 knots. We've been there in those conditions, and you just have to stay tucked up. Don't even think about going anywhere. We tried once. We'd never do it again. Winds ease a little bit on Sunday, southeast 25 for most areas, and on Monday, east-southeast backs a little bit, 20 to 25. So we're maintaining that fairly strong wind. A lot of that, by the way, is a combination of the big high to the south and also the tropical cyclone creating a big hole in the atmosphere, all the wind wanting to rush into it. Over to Newcastle now, the main trough extension is over the Loyalties. I got a good radar swath over the Loyalties, and boy, it's there for sure. Our lagoon area, though, is just showing on normal satellite imagery scattered cloud this morning, but it's very windy. East-southeast 20 to 30 knots at Amity Light, it was 30 knots out of the southeast. So no joke out there. You do not want to be in the southern lagoon. Over at the Loyalties, it's worse, 25 to 35, and very heavy rain. And tomorrow, 20 to 30, virtually everywhere, east, southeast. So stay tucked up. I'm afraid the same for Sunday with rain. And even Monday looks like easterlies 20 to 30 with periods of rain as well. Now, Liua, back to the tropical cyclone, is expected to continue moving south a bit. Then it will enter the warning area for New Caledonia. So New Caledonia will be putting up a warning for this tropical cyclone, but the model is expected to turn toward the west, and its intensity will start to weaken. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. And it would then appear that the storm is not, I will repeat, is not going to be a danger to New Caledonia. But it will cause strong winds, and that is going to affect everybody in the country. So watch out for that. So that's our report for today and for the weekend. And while I have been talking, we've done another run on the satellite imagery. And a very interesting thing is happening up in the deep tropics. I am seeing right now two what we call mesoscale convective systems. These are huge areas up to 5 degrees in diameter of thunderstorms. And one of them is at 10 south and 170 west. The other one is at the dateline and maybe 8 to 10 south. And interestingly, the tropical cyclone is showing up very well. But there is another development over the Santa Cruz Islands. And this is another mesoscale convective system. And it's very broad. In fact, it's broader than the tropical cyclone. And it is very nasty looking. Thunderstorms galore. These are all groups of thunderstorms, just clumps and clumps of them. And they, like I say, are over the Santa Cruz Islands. And the trough that's extending toward Vanuatu is coming from both the tropical cyclone and this mesoscale convective system, MCS for short. So a lot of activity up there. And with the high temperatures that we've got, I would not be surprised that we get a double tropical cyclone. But that may not happen. I hope it doesn't. But right now, that MCS does not look very nice. So anyhow, everybody enjoy the weekend if you can. And Graham up there in the Osawas, maybe rain. We'll see. That's all I've got. Any questions, come now. And here's Patricia.
Well, just as well, Villamy and Serrani did their walking yesterday. Serrani went up Mont, I think they call it Mont Doré, so they would have enjoyed some pretty good views from up there. And I presume Trevor and Jan got up to the lighthouse. But yes, it looks a little bit breezy, but probably no worse than an average windy day in Wellington. So no excuse really to not get out. By the way, those of you who know Severe, Ilya and Stefan, they send greetings and big hugs into the beautiful South Pacific. They happen to be at Porto Santo, which is the little island next to Madeira at the moment. So they're a long way north, 33 north, and sending us fond good wishes to all you folk that know them. Anybody with anything, this is Gulf Harbour Radio. I hear nothing. Yep. Just laughing at Trevor and Jan. They are going to be doing a few walks. I can always remember when David first came to Wellington. He couldn't understand why, when we wandered around the marinas in Wellington, why the dock lines were all so huge. And anyway, I think we had, I don't know how long we were there, but pretty much 80% of the time it blew over 25 knots each day. It was just one of those periods of time. It must have been in October, November time frame. And yes, you got sort of sandblasted if you were anywhere near the coast, but you went and walked anyway. Okay, I hear nothing. Are there any relays with anybody needing anything? Please come now. Oh, hello, Jonathan. Yeah, go ahead. Could you try and pick them up? Okay, don't worry, Jonathan. I don't know why I didn't hear Jeffrey earlier, but Jeffrey, I can copy you quite well. Are you at Pangamoto, over? All right, yeah, we know you're one of the ones wanting to take the next passage to Opua. Have you got your fuel sorted out yet, over? Well, you've dropped away a bit on me, but just it's worthwhile commenting about the fuel situation in Nuku'alofa. To deliver fuel, they require 1,000 litres, so it really means that folk need to get together if they want fuel. This is a bit early for that to happen, unfortunately, but usually when it comes to the main passage making time, folk can get together because of the need to get a minimum of 1,000 litres. It's a bit of a pain, but that's what they do. So if anyone wants fuel, then and they're around the Nuku'alofa area, good to make contact with Flying Fish in Pangamoto there. All right. I don't think there was anyone else. Thanks for the relay, Jonathan. And the boats that are heading south, we will probably not pick you up next week because you are going to be below 30, and usually transmission on 8 megs does not reach you there because you're in the skip area. If there is anything major, there's a couple of boats we're in touch with on email, so we would let you know, but otherwise it's pretty much as David has forecast for you. And we will probably put out a call to see, this is probably about the 25 past time frame. Someone will give a call from the islands. I usually twist somebody's arm to do that to see if anybody wants to get in with any question or comment or position or whatever it happens to be. So if you listen about 25 past the hour. The other thing to remind you about, folks, if you are arriving in New Zealand goes on to daylight saving, God knows why. Summer time, time will start on Saturday night going into Sunday. This transmission, if you do nothing, will stay exactly the same time as now. But those that are expecting customs to come will probably find they come earlier than expected. We move forward an hour. So there you have it. Just be aware of that. You might have to get up a bit earlier than you expect to get up for the knock on the hull, customs and the not immigration, because customs handle that, the agricultural people, I don't know what they call themselves now, security, I don't know, God knows. Anyway, we've got sunshine now, so that's going to be nice. We're actually going to be heading down towards Tauranga today. So have a good weekend, everybody, and the frequency is now all yours. Cheers, all. Yeah, go ahead, Graham. Well, it's got a bit noisy now. Try again. No, I haven't heard from Iron Maiden. Yeah, it's an interesting one. No, nothing at all. don't know where they are, and I know their radio works because they got that all sorted before they went. So I have to put a comment in my book here and give them a call next week. Over.
Right to that, yeah, just, they're on the same island, we call
Yeah, no, I met her before they left, where we had to sort out a bit of a radio problem, and no, it's forgotten about them. But yes, I will try and remember to give them a call next week and tell them to make themselves known. So thanks for the reminder. And you've missed out on some really nasty weather here this week. God, it's been horrible, but it looks like the wind has dropped down a bit again. We had a couple of days of solid wind here, but it's at least a bit drier and decent, even though it's a bit on the nippy side. So, yeah, enjoy your last month. Over. Cheers.